So I want to say something that I think you need to hear. Or I should say, I've needed to hear it and I wish somebody said it to me. Just because that person is attractive, and just because you're wanting to look at them, or you're feeling some butterflies inside, some titillation, doesn't mean you actually want to engage with them. Yeah, I know they're hot. Yeah, I know they're appealing and they're very charming. They might be turning you on. But I was never told to respect my body's response. I was never told that just because you're intrigued doesn't mean you actually have to go through with anything, and to become more aware of what I'm feeling inside. So hey guys, if we haven't met before, my name is Kalen. I am a spiritual coach. I help others on their journey home to reconnecting with their divine selves. I've written a couple books. I host this YouTube channel where we explore the intersection of spirituality, sexuality, meditation, sex, finding belonging, and living authentically. I'm also here every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time to host a live meditation class. I hope you can join us sometime. Okay, so here's the thing. As a man, I have never been told you may not actually want to have sex. The message I hear from society is you should want to engage with anyone that is attractive to you. The story I hear again and again in our culture, straight culture, gay culture, whatever culture, it doesn't matter. This is a thing that is projected onto men. That you should be hard and horny and ready to F whomever crosses your path that is remotely attractive. We're not told to listen to your body. How are you actually feeling? Check-in sort of encouragement. We're not told to say, hey, you might enter in a situation and think you want it, but then at some point your body starts saying no, and it's okay to listen to that. We're not told it's okay to have anxiety around sex. We're not told it's okay to have feelings of reluctance around sex. The narrative I've always heard is we're basically supposed to be machines ready to just plow into whomever. And I frankly don't think that's a helpful narrative. I don't believe that leads us to greater health, happiness, and overall well-being. I also don't think it leads to good sex, because if part of you doesn't want to be having this experience, then I'm pretty sure that everyone involved is going to agree it's probably not going to be as good as it could be. But here's a situation I have found myself in more than a few times now. I see somebody across the room. They've got a beautiful face, they've got a great figure, they're making eyes at me, they're winking, they're smiling. Maybe they come over and chat. Maybe they touch my arm or insinuate a few things. They're beautiful, they're charming. I feel myself being pulled to them. I feel myself maybe even getting turned on physically, getting aroused. But then I get through that initial impulse, which for me, and I think for most people, is quite strong, to feel seen, to feel desired, to feel validated that, this person who I recognize is desirable wants me. I mean, that's a really intoxicating experience. I'm sure we've all had that happen. Somebody who we didn't necessarily think would be into us suddenly is, or somebody who we find really appealing is delightfully into us as well. Like, that feels really good. But then maybe you take things another step. Maybe you start to touch them, or maybe you invite them towards a more intimate interaction, and you feel something inside of you just start to contract a little bit or pull back. I know I've had that happen where they're flirting with me, that's kind of fun, but once I get past that initial rush, that initial like, oh wow, this is happening, I start to feel a little uneasy. And then maybe, just maybe, it moves into another step of intimacy. Maybe there's now some more intimate touching, maybe some kissing, maybe some holding of one another. And this is when I often start to realize, like, oh, I don't actually want this. I can feel my body turning off. I can feel myself shutting down a little bit. But the narrative in my head is, well, you should be flattered that they're into you. They're an attractive person. You should be into them. Isn't this what the role of a man is in society, is to be sexually vibrant, to be this virile, swaggering, stud sort of person? I've never been told it's okay to be tuned into my feelings as a sexual being. I've never been told by anybody it's okay to think you want something and then decide otherwise, and to say no. I mean, these are ideas that we regularly tell women. We tell women it's okay to change their mind. It's okay to slow down and really check in with yourself. But we as a society have identified this issue that we have encouraged men to disconnect from their emotions and their emotional intelligence. We've encouraged men to be stoic and disconnected from themselves, and that it's causing a lot of issues. It's causing a lot of spousal abuse, self-abuse, a lot of violence in society, amongst people, within families. And yet, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, we don't necessarily talk about how important it is to give men that permission in the most intimate of acts. How often do we hear stories about women telling men no, but never hearing stories about men saying no? In fact, I just saw an ad today about consent, and it was so skewed towards a woman having to give consent. It said absolutely nothing about a man having a right to give consent as well, that they also may not actually want the sexual interaction that's going on. And because of this, because I am not practiced in saying no and checking in with my feelings, and because society hasn't taught me that it's okay for me to feel this way, I've ended up in sexual situations that I actually didn't want to be in. I've been in sexual situations where I've disassociated from my body, where more often than not, this happens actually when I engage with somebody who I don't feel 100% on board with, that I can't enjoy it, I can't relax, I start to step outside of my body and watch myself. I get anxious, my mind starts reeling, and for the large part, I've pretty much stopped exploring sexual interactions with people just because it's rare that I've actually been in a situation where all lights were green, where all signs said go. And I feel very safe and loved in my partnership, my marriage with my husband, and sex with him is wonderful and lovely. But in gay culture, we're expected to have sex with more people than just our spouse. And in a lot of gay culture, you can disagree with me, there are gay couples who are monogamous, of course. But especially if you're living in big cities, and especially on the coast, there is an assumption that you will be open and that you will play with other people. And especially given the work I do that is so body positive and sex positive, there is an automatic assumption that I am very open to sex with people. And the truth is I'm not. But it's something I have to give myself permission to do that because society isn't giving it to me. Let's be fair, in gay society, the people that we laud, the people that we hold up as being the ones that we reblog and retweet and feature in magazines and in movies, they're all pretty damn sexually adventurous. The people who usually have a lot of sex. And I want it to be okay to say, I don't need to be that way. And it's okay for me to say, I don't want it. It's okay for me to say, no. And it's a difficult idea to latch onto, that just because I'm attracted to you doesn't mean I want to have sex with you. Just because I'm even feeling turned on some level doesn't mean that all of me is turned on to the experience. Just because you got my nether bits aroused doesn't mean I actually want to go all the way. And to start to respect my boundaries better, to start to respect my ability to say that I'm not giving consent to this experience, even though you're really charming and part of me really wants it, but there's another part of me who doesn't. There's another part of me that doesn't. I don't really have anything more nuanced to share than this, is that if no one else has ever given you permission to find your own way of navigating sexual spaces, to listen to your heart, to listen to your gut, to listen to all of your physical self, and trust that if not all parts of you are enthusiastic about it, that's okay. You don't have to do it. Just because social media and traditional media and entertainment say, if you're a gay man, you should be a hoe, doesn't mean that has to be your narrative or your narrative at all times. I'd like us to be a more caring, a more compassionate, a more empathic, a more kind culture as men. And that starts with giving ourselves that. Not just other people, being kinder and more compassionate, more empathic, and more listening with ourselves. I think that probably is a moral that I come back to again and again in my life, is just pause, listen, take your time, let go of societal expectations of what you should be doing. Realize that just because it's your initial impulse doesn't mean it's the right one. And to really find what resonates with your heart. What is bringing you intrinsic joy rather than extrinsic approval, the approval of others. Because when we align with what our heart really wants, what our deeper self really wants, that's when life really starts to get good. And I'm tired of ending up in situations that ends up just feeling awkward and unenjoyable for me. Situations where that I then later have to extradite myself from and just be like, sorry, it's not you, it's me. It would have been much better had I had the wherewithal and the self-knowledge to be able to stop it before it even started. So I hope this is helpful for you. And if you know of another man who needs this message today, I hope you share it with them, because these aren't things we hear from our dads. These aren't things we hear from our friends. And so I'm trying to give myself permission to hear these things. I'm Kalen. This is Ecstatic Self. Thank you for your time.